Shakumaku everyone, we're in a new kitchen, which means new recipes, and today we're making one of my childhood favorite Iraqi dishes, Fesenjoun, which is walnuts and chicken breast with pomegranate molasses. It's so good and the macros are really good, and it's just the most delicious dish and comforting dish you'll have. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by processing our walnuts. So I'm going to put them in a food processor. This is actually a blender. And I'm gonna go ahead and process these and then we'll get started on our recipe. One thing I like about this recipe is it's all done in a pot except this part. So it's relatively easy and all you need is patience and love. So let's get started. So we process the walnuts into a really fine paste. As you can see, it is kind of sticky, but still pretty fine. That is the exact consistency that we want. Now we'll just put it to the side and get started on the cooking. So we're gonna get started with some oil in our very large pot. Now we're gonna put some onions into the oil. Now we're gonna add in our chicken breast. You can use any type of chicken as long as it's boneless and skinless. I use chicken breast for the macros, but any type of chicken will do. You can even use meat if you want. It's a super versatile and very delicious recipe. So we're gonna let that brown a little bit and I'm gonna add some turmeric. And I'm also gonna add a chicken bouillon cube here. Now we're just gonna add some water to let it cook through. While we wait for the water to boil here, I'm gonna get started in another pot. You could do this all in one pot, but I prefer it this way. It's quicker and you get more precise flavors this way. So in another pot, I'm going to add some oil and then I'm also gonna add some more onion. You know how us Arabs cook with a lot of oil and a lot of onion. Now that the onions are semi-translucent, I'm gonna go ahead and add in our walnut puree / paste. Just on top of the onions for now. I'm not gonna mix it in just yet. Okay, now I'm gonna mix it in slowly. And the reason we do this is because we wanna cook the walnut and get that bitterness out of the flavoring. A lot of people add sugar and skip this part, but I prefer to skip the sugar and just do a little bit of more work. Now that I've mixed the walnuts, I'm gonna add in the star of the show, which is our pomegranate molasses. You can add however much you want, but just be careful because pomegranate molasses does tend to burn faster than everything else. So I'm gonna add a little bit at a time and start mixing it and incorporating it really well. I've turned the heat on low for both of them. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of the water from our chicken and add it to our pomegranate molasses and walnut, just to thin it out, slowly incorporate and mix until we have a really good consistency here. Now that I have my consistency, I'm going to take my chicken breast, which should be super fork tender, and place it in our Fesenjoun. I'm going to let this simmer on very low for about 40 minutes until the chicken just falls apart and everything's perfectly incorporated. Chicken's already coming apart. It's only been a few minutes, but it's incorporating really nicely. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to drain the onions out of this, but save the water and cook our rice in that water so it has that chickeny flavor and also gets that yellow undertone of the turmeric without having to add any extra spices. Now it's time for the rice. You can make rice however you like. This is just how my parents make it. There's a little bit of oil in there. I'm gonna put the rice in and just cook it while it's raw a bit. This opens it up to make it absorb water quicker. So I'm gonna add the rice in. And now we're just gonna let the rice cook how we would normal rice. And for the Fesenjoun, you're gonna wanna stir it every 5 to 10 minutes just to make sure nothing sticks at the bottom, and try to break up the chicken each time you stir it. And I'll see you guys back in about 30 minutes. And now everything is done. I've been mixing the Fesenjoun every 5 minutes while cutting down the chicken. As you can see, it's very, very shredded. It's perfect. And you'll probably notice that on top there is some oil separation. That is from the walnuts. That is very, very healthy oil. If you want, you can just mix it in really well and incorporate that into your meal. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove it and save it for a different dish. You're gonna have that very healthy fat from the walnut with the undertone taste of walnuts. So I'm just going to lean it forward and you'll probably see that a lot of the oil is going to come and chill over here. So once the oil does come there, I am going to take it and put it in a separate bowl. And now it's time to plate. We have our beautiful yellow turmeric basmati, which we're going to put at the bottom of our plate. Our beautiful Fesenjoun. Cool. And since it is a pomegranate-based dish, we are going to top it off with some pomegranate seeds. How cute and beautiful. And there you have a beautiful plate of Fesenjoun, walnuts, pomegranate, and chicken. It is actually really healthy, high in fat, but very healthy fat. And this is something I grew up on, and it's one of my favorites. So I'm really excited to be sharing this dish with you, and I really hope that you enjoy it and you fall in love with it just as much as I have. So, sahtén.